Oh man, I think my welcome to Duke moment was probably our 7 a.m. runs. My big ass was trying to keep up with everybody else. You got John puking on the side, trying to beat everybody, and DeMarcus, running sub 4 minute miles, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, then there's me, So
Well, I will say by the time I got there, your senior year, um, you were running pretty well. I mean, I think I barely beat you in the mile my freshman year. So, I mean, I guess you
yeah.
progressed over those 4 years.
Yeah, I guess I think they tamped it down a little bit in terms of the amount of running,
Yeah, yeah.
which was fortunate, probably because of me. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I ended up by the end of my freshman summer, I ended up running a 5:25 mile,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so it was lost a little bit of weight, probably a little bit too much running, but they had to whip me into shape. So
Yeah. Yeah, they got a way. They have a way of doing that. So, I mean,
lose that baby fat.
yeah, I hear you. Um, so back to high school, when when did you hit 7 feet?
I'd say, I was by the end of my freshman year, I remember being 6'9". So I
Good
think I
grief.
came in mid sixes to freshman year, maybe six
Hmm.
four, 6'5". By the end of the year, I was 6'9". And so at that level, you never kind of really know when you're going to stop. And
Yeah.
so, my parents are 6'6", 6'3", and so kind of thought that range. And then hit 6'9", thought it was going to be that. And I think by junior year, I was probably 7'1", 7'2".
Oof.
So by junior year, I was full height.
Yeah. I mean, what is that like adjusting to like that much added height in that little bit of time? I mean,
Well, I like to think I'm put together slightly now, but I'll tell you what, being 6'9" my freshman year of high school, and I was in a new high school, hadn't known anybody much that year. Um, adjusting to your body growing that fast is always not fun. Fortunately didn't have too many growing pains or anything, as I
hmm
was always just taller than everyone and kind of grew longer, and so I didn't have kind of like that 7, 8 unit or 8 inch year or summer that some guys had.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, it's a process of getting comfortable with your body.
yeah, for sure. I can imagine. So when I was in high school, I was like 6'3", 6'4", and I'm playing like the four. I guess in a minute at the five. Our center's like 6'6". What is it like being 7 foot? And I mean, I gotta assume you didn't play against a bunch of guys that matched up with you size wise in high school.
No, for sure. My conference was pretty small, and Jersey was one of the smaller conferences. And so we had, it was a small public school. I think we won, you know, we 20 something conference games a year, and we won
Mm-hmm.
the last 74 of them, I think, over my career. Like we lost like
Yeah.
one my freshman year, which I wasn't even really playing that much. Then won 60 in a row my sophomore, junior, senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So within the conference, there just really wasn't much competition. We had a really good team, at least relatively. And for me, it was always they'd throw a football guy in that was kind of hefty and foul me,
Yeah.
so it was always interesting. But I look forward to those kind of out of conference games where we play against Catholic schools, have a little bit better competition, or tournaments where I could really kind of test myself.
Yeah. Speaking of your high school record, you looked you up. You went 110-10 in high school. Was that ever boring? I mean, I kind of feel where you're coming from with the conference because that's how my conference was in high school. We just, I remember one night where the starters just didn't even play, and we won by 30 something points. So like, did you find yourself getting bored at times in high school?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that by the time junior, we won state championships in Jersey are kind of sectioned out by class, and so we had won our class championship my
Mm-hmm.
sophomore year, and then my junior year again. By the time senior year came around, I think we won our conference games by an average of 35 points.
Oof.
There's scores of like 110 to like 40 up there and stuff, and it was kind of crazy. So it definitely didn't push me as much as I would have liked at times, and starters would only play a couple minutes each half sometimes, to kind of rest us for playoffs and things. So you have a lot of fun with it, but the first couple games you kill somebody, and then it starts, they start getting a little chippy, and it starts getting to the point where everybody was just like being at Duke. Everybody was taking their shot against us and playing their best game, and we weren't really caring about that game. It was just another game to us. Right. So that kind of brought some conflict every once in a while.
Yeah. Do you have any like weird stories? Because like I remember when I was in high school, I think it was sophomore, junior year, and we were up like 15 on this team, and in the third quarter, and because we were normally beating teams by 30 plus, no problem in conference, and so we were up like 12 to 15 or something like that, and they just held the ball the entire third quarter because they were like, if we lose by 15, it looks better to the people doing the rankings than if we lose by 30. So, they ended up losing by whatever it was, 12, 15 points. And they ended up moving up in the rankings the next week because they only lost to us by, they lost to us by less than 20.
Yeah, we had teams try everything against us. We had a team that, there's no shot clock. So we had a team literally the entire first half held the ball. And I think the score ended up being like 12-8 in the first half or something like that, where everybody was just like, what are we doing here? Watch this game. And then it started to get to the point where we got up like 10 or something, and then they just gave it up.
Yep.
And so a lot of weird strategies, though, over the years to kind of either, fortunately, I had a bunch of shooters on my team that, would be on the perimeter. So when they double and triple team me, it would just be lights out from three. So it's just kind of, but the double, triple teams at times where few guys are fouling me and it's getting a little rough underneath. It's just not fun. You know?
Yeah. You had a few Hack-a-Zoobs games in high school?
Just a few.
So what was recruiting like for you? I know, coaches say all the time one thing, you can't teach height. And so, and 7-footers are few and far between. So I'm sure every coach in the country was looking at you. What was that like?
Yeah, look, it was an interesting process. I didn't start my freshman year of high school. And so we had a pretty good team, and, I was still growing into my body, still kind of figuring things out. So, I think I got pretty good my sophomore summer. And I think at AAU, I was invited to, Nike camp, or like the one right below Nike camp first, and then made it to Nike camp as like a sophomore. And so kind of started getting attention there, and then, had a really good sophomore year that kind of like burst on the scene. So I started getting letters, but, my parents knew nothing really about basketball. And so, we really didn't have a clue in terms of AAU and Nike camps and all this kind of stuff. I had an aunt that had went to Duke before. I liked watching them on TV, and my parents are pretty academic focused. So when I started getting recruiting letters, there was just a certain type of school that I just didn't really envision myself at. So kind of eliminated stuff pretty quickly. So ended up really only looking at, Duke and Stanford. I looked at Princeton as an Ivy because my father went there. But, I went up, and it's only 30 minutes away from my hometown. So I went up for one practice, and I think the coach of Air Force had just left and gone to Princeton, and he was a screamer, and it was a disaster. He was abusing the kids there, and their center quit that year. And I looked at my coach, and I was like, "There's no shot I'm going here." To my dad's disappointment, but I kind of realized that there was just a level of academics that I wanted as well as basketball. So kind of limited pretty quickly, and then was kind of always waiting for Duke, and Duke was kind of the last one to come on. So,